we live? Oh, okay, we're good. Alright. Alright, everybody. It is Frozone with an analysis video for a recent Ranbat match between Nooneman, Fred, and Mr. Incredible, otherwise known as Foss, or Jake Foss, rather. And, good match, close match. But ultimately, that closeness was because of like a lot of mistakes from both sides, a lot of dropped opportunities, and non-optimal decision making in form of utilizing defensive options and even bursts. So I'm going to get right into that. Here we go. And before I even get into this, like without the decision making, without like all the mistakes that was made between the two people, I expected this to be close. Like whether or not these two players played optimally, I honestly expected this to be close, and didn't really know who would come out on top here. I was honestly like, I was happy either way. If one person won, I wasn't going to be upset that the other lost.
Heaven or hell. Duel. One. Let's rock.
Boss going immediately to the stance there. Countering. Holy shit. Okay, alright. So I'm gonna rewind that right back to the beginning just to look at that one more time. Okay, so I'm automatically gonna tell you that you should burst when Leo does his overhead attack, specifically because he cannot cancel that into his counter. The only thing, well, he actually can't cancel it at all. He has to wait to recover and then do whatever action he's going to do after that. The only way for him to legitimately steal your burst is for him to RC and then proceed to block you. If you do it late, however, like Fred did there, he's going to counter and steal the mess out of that. That's one point to make. Let me actually, because now that I say that, it reminds me of something. And let me see if I can find this real fast.
Heaven or hell.
I got it. I got it. Alright, so it's actually, is it not showing up? What the hell? Hold on. I gotta do this the old-fashioned way. Shit. Was close to here. Definitely was close to here. Oh, or not? No, it was super early actually. Yeah. Oh my stars and gutters. So while I'm finding this, I'm just gonna say that the point of when you want to burst the heavy slash from the stance is actually, I swear to God, the point where you want to burst the heavy slash from the stance is actually during the startup of it. Okay. I found it. Okay, here we go. Alright, so So right here, I get crossed up, and then I get hit with slash, and then I see that he's doing heavy slash, and immediately after that heavy slash, that's when I burst. That's the point where you need to do so. You need to the thing about like fighting against Leo is a lot of awareness. You have to be expecting and looking out for a lot of things that he's going to do. Otherwise, he's going to blow you up horrendously, because a lot of the things that Leo does is reactable. Nothing that he has that's really a threat is not reactable. His unblockable is reactable. His overhead is reactable. His counter is something that you can honestly just hold your buttons and punish after it's no longer active. You have to, and even like the second hit of his Rekka that he can do raw and just cross you up. Even that is something that you can react to and throw if he tries to cross you up with it. If he uses it just as a tool to get in, then I mean, he's not really getting anything. He just gets a little closer. He's not like super plus after it, so it's not like it's a huge deal. It's just the fact that he used it to get closer to you. That was it. Other than that, yeah, you just have to be aware of certain things, and one of those things ends up being in almost its entirety just like what he's trying to do in stance and what he's trying to do to get into stance. And knowing when to burst while he is in stance is another thing. Like I said, catch it in the startup of the heavy slash and just know that he can't do anything about it unless he RCs. Good mix-up. Very difficult to block on that one. Good RC in the DP. And see, that is a good point to poke out. After the overhead, after blocking the overhead, using a quick normal just to poke out, completely unwarranted DP there. I really don't agree with that. Yeah. Seeing him jump up after placing a deja vu really does not say DP to me. Primarily because he's going to wait for that deja vu to hit you or for you to block it before he does anything. And that is just the game plan. He doesn't have to really overextend himself because he already has something to cover him before he even goes in. So there's really no reason to DP. Ultimately, you're just going to have to hold the mix-up and just learn how to block Bedman. Fighting Bedman is honestly a lot like fighting Leo. It's awareness. You have to be aware of a lot of the things that he does because his air dash isn't super quick. Empty air dash low is difficult to block, but it is blockable. It is not nowhere near UMVC3 Magneto tier, where if he goes low, you just gotta hold his nuts in your mouth. Ultimately, it's just you have to be able to see it and you have to be able to block it. That's good throw. And 6H is another thing from Bedman that you have to be aware of. You have to see it coming. It has 31 frame startup. It is so damn slow. You have to be able to say, okay, it's coming, and just be ready to block it. Another DP that I don't agree with, unless that was like a mistaken fireball, which I don't really understand how it would be. It wasn't a good DP. It was honestly is just a random situation in which you were just gonna get hit no matter what you did. That round was completely based upon Bedman's control and lack of blocking, just being completely impatient. That first game actually was based entirely around Bedman setting things up and having you run into them. So from there, your impatience is what got you hit a lot. Just either not wanting to block or blocking improperly. And then running into things while blocking improperly. blew you up to the point where he didn't really have to work that hard at all.
Heaven or Hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Alright, so 2 things. 1, that was a great start of the round poke. Secondly, I personally do not. Well, it's actually not that I don't agree with early bursts, because I do them myself. The thing about early bursts is that you have to be very mentally aware of what you're doing with that burst. Because, yeah, I mean, because the thing like with early bursts is that you have the potential to get another one before the round's even over, which is good, which is actually great. That means that you turn which is normally going to be 2 bursts into 3, which is fantastic, honestly. Like, who wouldn't want an extra burst in the game? But at the same time, if you do not acquire momentum, even with a successful burst at the beginning of the round, if you do not acquire momentum, you do not gain enough burst by the end of the round to get another one. You actually are left like halfway through the T. And at that point, you're getting your burst at the beginning of the next round, which, if you keep the tendency of bursting as soon as possible, makes it very easy for the opponent to blow it up in more ways than one. It basically just it makes it so that they understand that you want to have as many bursts as possible. They know that you want to get it back as early as possible. You want to use it as quickly as possible, and you want to get out of any unwanted situation as early as possible. You want momentum to always be in your favor, and with that, then they'll recognize it, and they'll basically say, all right, whatever is the first hit I do, that hit is going to either be jump canceled or it's going to be, turned into a counter, a Leo, or something with a guard point or something, or so on and so forth. A move that allows them to therefore steal your burst off of the very first hit, which a lot of characters can do. And with that being said, it opens you up to them just taking your burst away from you. It makes those extra bursts invalid because now they are looking at your burst meter specifically for the sake of taking it. You have to be very careful with early bursts for that reason. Yeah, you can get more, but at the same time, you could also get nothing. Because if you do it a lot, then next game, it won't even be a matter of poking oh man, maybe I can get this burst by the end of the round. He's going to completely steal your burst, and you are going to have absolutely no chance whatsoever of getting that burst back. Even if you gain momentum and beat him. Even if you gain momentum and then he comes back, you're not getting that burst back. You are not getting that burst back until the end of the round if he completely stole it at the beginning of that round. Oops. Hold on, what did I just see there? What is that? I'm sorry. I'm absolutely sorry. That was, damn. That was a vicious fuck. That was, holy hell. All right, Arxis. I see you, Arxis. You bunch of liars, fucking asses. Good use on the forward dash counter, and then YRCing it to basically blow up that poke. Super unfortunate that he got thrown off that 6H. Should not have happened. Good pressure into the counter, I mean, on the guard point to take the burst. And then that Berserker Slash is a matter of awareness in and of itself. Good blocking for the most part, but like I said before, you have to be aware. You have to know when something is coming like that. You have to be ready to block and, well, not even block, because you can throw them. So you can just straight up just yoink them right out of it. There, but oh well. That's +2. Yeah, that super is +2, and the throwing the fireball, I can only imagine, was a mistake, because there is no reason why you really should be doing anything akin to that at that range after he does that super. A quick poke I can understand, but excuse me, throwing a fireball is just not a good idea. Good teleport ball to 6H. Don't know what happened there. Blitzing the deja vus is not particularly a good idea. Because, like I said before, that man does not do anything until you've already been hit or blocked it. So any range where that blitz would matter is null and void because he's already behind it. Like that, pretty much that blitz is basically you spending 25 meter to stand there for to just stand there a little bit longer for him to, you know, successfully get whatever mix-up he was going to do anyway. And it's not really going to help you for the most part, unless, like, as Leo, you already have charge, or Soul, Kai, Axel, you have a DP, and he's just going to run into that move. That you can do because you can, like, take the vulnerability that you got from the successful blitz and then use it to do a reversal, but otherwise, if you don't have either the meter or the charge or the DP, you really don't get anything. You just, like I said before, you spend 25 meter just to stand there a little bit longer, and it just uses your resources to his advantage. Good confirm. Really good confirm. Oh shit! Could have green blocked. Could have used the forward dash. Counter into YRC again to take the heavy slash. But yeah, dealing with that super in the corner against Leo is actually very difficult because of all the things that Leo can do to keep you like on the ground at that point. Well, damn. I'm not going to argue with that, because that is entirely just like you have to you kind of have to half expect a DP sometimes, especially after a burst like that. That was that gold burst. Excuse me, damn. Why am I so tired? That was not a gold burst, nor was it a successful blue burst. So now he has absolutely no burst meter at the beginning of the round. And yeah, you kind of have to half expect the DP to come. Oh, the game of no bursts. No successful burst. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what was happening there. Yep. Good backdash. After the to avoid the bed slam. Actually blocking there, which is a good thing. It's just, yeah, you have to wait for that jump heavy slash to get its 6 hits, I believe, out. And exactly my point. Yep. Panicking after eating the super. Just kind of have to stay there and not entirely hold what he's going to do afterwards, but you have to, again, be aware. You have to be aware of what he is capable of doing afterwards. Good blow up on the stance. And this is where you have to block. Because now he's making a wall. And then he kind of leaves the wall, which is, you know, his own mistake. So, yep, that was down H trades with the super. I can't tell you more to be aware, because that was the dust. That's just something that's something everybody looks out for, or has to look out for. Does happen all the time, especially in America. Especially.
Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
All right. So Darian's word of the day. Awareness. That entire opening for like the first 11, 12, how many seconds it was awareness. It was purely and utterly awareness. You have to be aware of when he is trying to go into stance. You have to be aware of when he's trying to cross you up while he is in stance. You have to be aware of the overhead from when he is in stance, and you have to be aware of when he wants to counter you while you are in neutral while he is in stance. Like I've been saying, it's pretty much you have to look out for what he does to get into stance and what he does when he is in stance. The things that you cannot look out for and don't have to look out for is this stance K, punch, and slash. Those are just pokes and mix-up tools. Well, pokes and tools. The punch is an anti-air, the kick is a throw invincible low, and the slash is just a poke at that point. The heavy slash is the overhead. He has the unblockable, which him raising his leg so you can blitz that. Or actually, in a lot of situations, if you really see it coming, you can actually jump and escape. And then the counter. When it comes to the counter, you have to be ready for it. You have to always be ready for it. You have to be ready for it, and you have to press a quick button to blow them up for it. Because the thing is that Leos, at this point, expect players to try to blow them up for whiffing a counter. So they do another counter and blow up the button that you do afterwards. And since he did that and saw that you weren't like getting hit by the counter, he decided, alright, screw it then. I'm just going to press a button. And you try to walk up for a throw, and then led to you eating the button that he did afterwards. So ultimately you could have avoided this if you either recognized the first counter and hit him afterwards, recognized the second counter, and just left, or just blocked. Just continue blocking and just continue holding it in the corner, which I'm not going to suggest to you, but blocking is never going to be like the completely wrong decision against a character like this, unless like he straight up can just press jab and then it's an unblockable. Then, you know, obviously blocking is not the 100% correct decision. But in this situation where his tools are all reactable, that is what I'm going to say, that you should block him. You should block the overhead. You should block the low. You should block the low, react to the overhead. Expect Not like say like, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna counter. Like expect the counter. Like say he has a counter, he is capable of using it. I should look out for this counter. And when he does it, do a quick button to hit him, and then blow him up for it. Because if you saw that, I'm pretty sure that you could have did stand K, heavy slash, down back heavy slash, and then did whatever thing Batman players do. I could be wrong about that punish, but I'm not wrong about looking out for things that he is capable of doing. Yeah, if he did another counter, that throw would have messed him up, but 2 is enough. 2 is more than enough. If at that point, if he's doing more than 2, then he's honestly just disrespecting you to the point where you should be throwing the hell out of him. Good luck with DP. The burst was kind of to be expected, but actually not expected, because who the hell bursts at that HP range? Whoa, man. I actually, now that I'm looking at it, I really disagree with that burst. What point did you have in bursting when you had full health? There's no reason for it. There's actually no reason for it. You have so much available health to make mistakes that burst could have been held on to the beginning of the next round. Because now, say for example, you lose now. Like, say for example, he just makes like this ridiculous comeback and you lose now. You don't have a safety net for this round, for the rest of this round, and for some of the beginning of the next. Because if he wins now, that means you didn't touch him, which means that burst meter is not going to fill up entirely. Which is a scary thought, but something you have to expect, because the thing is that you can't always say, this is going to work, right? You can't say this is always going to work in my favor. You have to honestly expect the worst case scenario. Good throw. Probably was expecting a DP there. Good retreat to the symbol. Poor awareness, word of the day, that the symbol was destroyed by Leo when he did his record. Good cross up. I don't know if I really agree with the use of meter there, but that's good block on the DP and good RC on the DP. Now the player really coming on the negative there. That's another thing. When he is in stance, you can't give Leo something to react to, because he's going to counter it. What you do from there should be unreactable, in a sense. Not really like 100% unreactable. I mean, just like you should try to poke him out of it, or you should try to keep a fair distance to where him approaching you while staying in stance is not safe. It leads to him getting knocked down or hit for, you know, anything, honestly. Just because obviously he can't block while he's in stance. But giving him something to react to, so that he can counter it, is obviously a poor idea and is going to lead to you getting blown up as you did. Weird situation, very weird situation, but like I said before, you gotta be looking out for because, oh my god, Jesus Christ, you gotta be looking out for the counter, and as the Leo player, you have to be expecting, you have to kind of take what he's doing after 6H and kind of like, not so much, you have to realize what he is doing after 6H if you are going to burst like that. Because that burst was immediately stolen because you did your burst too early and he was completely out of range with his bed slam, which then resulted in you getting hit again. The burst from Bedman was now As the Batman player, your burst was bad because it was on the first hit. And this is something that I'm always going to say. Don't ever burst on the first hit unless it kills. Both of you lost your bursts entirely because you both burst on the first hit. And that is something that I will always disagree with. Even if I do it. Even if a professional player does it. I never agree with bursting on the first hit, especially if the hit was a normal or command normal, because that makes it so easy to do anything to take that burst. And you can't say I'm wrong because neither one of you have a burst right now. So unless the next hit's gonna kill you, don't burst. Just wait for another 1 or 2 hits. Like, wait it out. Wait till a special happens. Wait till a special that they can't do anything but RC happens. You know? Wait for something that you can burst reliably. Other than saying like, oh shit, I got hit. Burst. Because then they're just going to take it. They're just literally just going to be like, oh, hey, he's going to burst on the first hit because he's scared to die. Tap, burst, block, done. It's over. You don't ever want that to happen. That's why guts exist. That's why the health or the awakening system in Persona exists. I don't know if you can apply this to Blaze Blue, but it's an Arxis game. I want to say you can. Even if you can't, still, bursting on the first hit is still like basically saying bursting on the first hit and having to taken is literally the person saying he's afraid to die. Let me blow this up. Done. Just done. And that's exactly what happened. And Mr. Incredible realized that Nooneman didn't want to die, so he tapped him, blocked the burst, and then punished him. And then took the game.
全てが予定通りの展開であり、何の空数性もなく。
こんな小僧がどうやってこれほどの力を得たのだ。
Batman versus Leo. Get ready to roll. Heaven or Hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
February 5th, 6-8. For the most part, the avoidance was good. It was just messing up and getting hit by weather. Control. In another situation of just running into things. Not entirely, but a lot of that. Well, some of it was actually running stuff. Once again, don't really give him something to react to if you can recognize that he's already in stand. I'm surprised that Squeak hit, to be honest. Once again, good take on the... See what I mean? You had no reason to burst. Alright, so, 2 things. 1, Nooneman had no reason to burst there. It was a DP. It was a DP that was not really gonna. It was a DP that was gonna lead to a knockdown, but nothing really scary. And the amount of meter that he had, he could have just dead angled literally whatever Mr. Incredible did on his wake up. And for the most part, he wouldn't really be able to do much about it other than just like stand there and lose his mix-up opportunity. And then And then we got this guy here. We're going to scroll back a little bit to the first round. And I want you to pay attention to something. I want you to pay attention to something. Alright, so. Damn, this was a long ass game. Alright, so he burst at the beginning of the first round. Proceeded to lose. Bad. Right? And now the second round begins, and he still doesn't have a burst. He actually doesn't get that burst. Again. Until halfway down his, more than halfway down his HP bar. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because this is just to let you know what happens in worst case scenarios. Which, like I said before, you have to be ready of and expect. So I don't particularly say like burst in the beginning of the round because of this, because it's not just this. It's not just like when you get the burst back. It's not just when you have access to another burst. It also comes down to where the opponent was when you burst. If you burst at the beginning of the round, or like in the first possible hit, and you put your opponent in a position where you are once again at a disadvantage, even though you used your burst and you got them off you, then that burst in and of itself was not worth it. That burst actually put you at a disadvantage. Like, for example, for Hogan, when he was playing against Manny, Sin versus Melia, and he burst as Sin and got Melia out, and then ate food immediately, and then Manny recognized that and just ran right back in, and that burst became then null and void. So what did Hogan accomplish there? He didn't accomplish anything. He literally just got his burst. He literally gave Manny his burst in exchange for some metabolism meter, which, if you ask me, lost him some games. Lost him 1 or 2 games. So you have to be aware of the potential within your burst. You can't just say burst because I want another one. You have to say burst because I want another one, or burst because I'm getting hit right now. Burst because you can say like, this is either going to blow up entirely his Oki game that he's going to try to set up on me now. This is going to put me at an advantageous position because now I have more meter and he is out of my face. Or this is going to put me at an advantageous position because now he's either full screen away from me if I'm like, I don't know, Axel or Bedman or even Faust, if for whatever reason you want them to be super far away from you, or like as like Sol Leo Kai or any other rushdown character, they're like, okay, now this burst is advantageous for me because if I burst them and it's successful, now they're in the corner. Now they're in the corner and they don't have any escape route because now they're knocked down and I'm at the advantage because I'm waking up earlier than they are, or I'm able to move before they are.
Batman versus Leo. Get ready to roll.
It's not just when you burst, it's where you burst. It's an important thing to remember.
Heaven or Hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
I can't say to be aware for that because that was totally tricky. Yeah, the super using it in the person's face like that is obviously a bad idea because they're all vulnerable, so it's gonna lead to mess like that happening, which is sad, but hey, if it's a counter to it, then it's a counter to it. Good mix up, good blitz shield as well. Almost forgot to mention that. And now here is where the problem starts. That was a gold burst, which is exactly what he got. And this is going to bring me to another one of my previous points. Yeah, you got a burst by the end of the round, but you used it as soon as you got it, and it didn't work. So now you're starting this round as if you literally burst the first hit before you literally burst something on block. And now he almost has, like, him as a person who burst successfully and pretty much more intelligently. Now he has almost a full burst meter, and you could touch him twice and he's already going to get that burst back. The result of that round was nothing more than, like, burst and set play. Just using burst intelligently for set play. Or using burst intelligently during and to set up set play. See what I mean? He had the burst so much earlier before you, and now he has access to so much of your health bar because you don't have a burst. That was a really walky but a really good air grab. The blow up. Look how long we got. Look how long your health was before you got that third burst. What the fuck did that second burst even do for you then? Like I said, like I'm saying, I don't have a problem with bursting early. It's the mentality behind the burst that matters. You can burst early, but what you do with that second and third burst after bursting early and getting them back is completely on you. You have to use them intelligently. The second burst didn't do jack diddly shit, and that's exactly why he was able to run through 95% of your health bar with no opposition. And then you only had access to like 33. Ultimately, you had more bursts, but he used his 2 bursts better than you used your 3, which resulted in him getting a lot more out of it. It's like if he had $5 and you had $8, and you go to this expensive restaurant, or not even an expensive restaurant, you go to like the food stand that gives you like 3 ass hot dogs, right? For your $8, but he goes over to 3 like just like these little ass like motherfucking dry dick wiener hot dogs, you know, some old busted shit. And he goes over to this other guy and he's just like, hey, I got $5. What do you got going on? He has like this nice deal on some 2 like this is the wrong analogy. Some 2 thick, juicy meat sausages, you know what I'm saying? So like he was ultimately able to get more out of his $5 than you were able to get out of your $8. Yeah, you got 3 hot dogs, but shit, his is so much bigger and so much nicer. Like, damn, you should have went over there and, you know, had your $3 left over, and you would have looked much better. Hell, you could have even got an extra hot dog. You know, made him look absolutely silly. Had some of them 3 juicy monsters. You know what I'm saying? And then that last burst, you had a good position out of it, but it didn't do so much for you because you were already so negative. Like, you were already so like at a disadvantage that it was difficult for you to really really come out of that, you know, really come out of that with much going on for you.
Heaven or Hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
Good 6B. Fucking whoa. Fire Rage, man. Here we go. I'm not gonna fault you for getting hit by that, because that was entirely just like his own thing. That Berserker Slash was not something that like a lot of people look out for. Good counter dash. I respect that. Good block on the jump dust. Setting up 6H. You gotta be aware of that. You gotta be aware for it. You gotta block it. It's super slow. You just have to block it. I still don't agree with that DP, but it got you out of the situation. So, like, I can't disagree with the DP. I can't like be mad at a DP that hits. Awareness. Good blow up, because anything he does in the stance is going to be -2. Good expectation on the DP too. Great block. Not an optimal punish, but that was pretty obvious, honestly. So yeah, you just got to be able to look out for it and be ready to punish it. Starting around still with the running Berserker Slash, gotta be able to recognize exactly like when, not really when he wants to do it, but how often he's doing it, and then kind of like do what you did in the first game where you just blow it up with your far slash as he's just running in. Kind of like easier movement, slower movement going into that. That's again the point I was trying to make. You have to, yeah, you can burst the heavy slash, but you have to burst it as it's coming out, not when it's already out there, because that's when it gets stolen and this happens.
んな小僧がどうやって
Batman versus Leo.
Okay. Sorry about that. Had to answer the door.
Heaven or hell.
Now.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Let's see. It's 4-3 right now? Ooh, it's 4-3 right now. Good block at first. Didn't really lead to anything. Whoa, that counter hit was a blow up. Good use of the Berserker Slash to chase him down, and got a lot of burst back for what was a really close to a comeback. But still, that burst, like in the beginning, didn't really do much for you, obviously, because you had to make a comeback of that magnitude. And that was his first time bursting. What's this second? I wasn't, you know, I'm terrible because I'm analyzing this mess and I'm not even paying attention to one of the guys' bursts. Good second round. Didn't really need to utilize the burst because you managed to acquire control. And that is exactly what I was talking about before. You can't let Leo react to something while he is in stance. So he put out a sweep there that basically just met him a knockdown while he was in stance and he couldn't block anything. Patience is a virtue. See what I mean? Good 6P. Alright, so it's obvious that, like, it's obvious you were expecting a DP at that point, which, oh my god. Obviously you were expecting a DP at that point, which is why you backed off. Fair enough, I can't really be mad at that. Also, you have to expect the fireball to come back. That's what they all do. This set could have been over. It could have been all over, but like 100%, like that fireball coming back was a huge deal. You gotta be ready for when it comes back. It's just basic Batman stuff. Both of his fireballs hit on the way there and the way back.
Batman versus Leo. Get ready to rock. Heaven or hell. Duel 1. Let's rock.
And now Mr. Incredible's playing at a much more patient pace because he doesn't want to lose this last game. But ultimately, that is what opened him up to this. Batman is obviously really scary when he has a lot of things up. And that early burst got him off you, but you didn't really do much of anything with it, which is the problem. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you're gonna burst as soon as you get it, it's gonna lead to situations like this happening, where I don't know if he expected it. It could have seemed like he really didn't, and he just kind of got lucky out of the situation. But if he really sees it coming, that was a really good confirm off the counter of deja vu. But if he really sees that burst coming, then obviously he's going to take it. Like, obviously he's just going to 100% just say, all right, he's afraid to die, and he's going to burst as soon as possible, like he always does, and he's going to just take it from there. So that was entirely just a matter of not even so much like bursting as soon as possible. It just honestly it was just bursting at the wrong time. It was again just not so much when you burst, but where you burst. I'm sorry, that was actually kind of half wrong. It was a lot of like both, honestly, when and where you burst. When you burst at the beginning of the round, that was fine. I would have liked to see more pressure, like early game pressure, off of like after that, particularly because Bedban, at least like in this entire set that I was seeing before, like you know for a fact that he's afraid of you when you're in your face. When you are in his face, whoa. So there's no reason to really like play patiently at the beginning of the round because you don't need to. You only have to play patiently when he sets up his wall. And the thing is that when he set up his wall, that's when you started being aggressive, and that's when you started getting hit by things. And that's why you lost that first round. The second round was entirely like he already had momentum and he already had the mental advantage. Like he already knew in his mind, like I can win this and I'm going to win this because he already netted perfect. That's a mental win for him and a mental loss for you. As also like according to the round. So at that point you have to play like you would normally. Play like the way that you were playing to win before. Because this last round was entirely just an example of like you don't want to lose, so you play differently, but that ends up making you lose. And not only that, but also the burst that ended up getting taken was just a matter of bursting just at the wrong time. Just you need to wait a little bit and then have like certain things hit you, or at least no, just have like a certain thing hit you that you know for a fact that you can burst. Because what ended up being burst was a deja vu. So let's just look here one more time. He sets up the clone and then you burst. And he's walking. He is literally walking forward. And you just burst. He doesn't have to do anything. He can literally just hold whatever direction he's gonna hold. Because your burst is gonna take so long to start up, and Batman's walk speed is so fantastic. That he can just hold that direction, and then whenever you burst, he blocks it. Done. He doesn't have to worry about what you do afterwards, or he doesn't have to worry about what happens afterwards. Rather, like he doesn't have to worry about like whether or not he's blocking in the right direction, and then from there he can just punish you as he did, and then leave you with the rest of the game with no burst and no meter and no chance. So bursting the deja vu obviously is a terrible decision. Ultimately, you lost to a lot of things because of like either improper blocking or not blocking enough and using the wrong tools in the wrong situations. For example, that burst that just got taken by deja vu, the blitz shields that were taken by deja vus, and the utter lack of dead angle from you. If you as a Leo player dead angled, like blocked the deja vus at first and then dead angled afterwards, a lot of the time Batman is already trying to do something, so he's probably going to get smacked and knocked away, and that'll give you a situation or a chance to actually do something afterwards. You can also I was gonna suggest DPing, but that's not really the best decision. What I like about this was that you DP'd less as the set continued on, which was a good thing. Um, but aside from that, there was still like just situations of bad bursts between the two of you. Nooneman's bursts were a little bit more smartly placed, which was what netted him 2 or 3 games, honestly. 2 or 3 games, 4-ish rounds. Just because they were more intelligently placed and more thought out to situations where they could work out for him. Because ultimately, you really only took 3 out of a 9-game set, which if you get 2 bursts per game, that means that there's 18 burst possibilities that you could have taken it. So success rate, super low, super low. Same for him, same for Nooneman too. Honestly, him taking your burst was a very low success rate as well. It was like 2 out of shit. Say you get 3 for that, then say you have like say like for whatever reason you get 3 every time, which it did not happen, but let's say you did. 2 out of 27. So 25 successful bursts. Which sounds like a ridiculously big ass number, but when actually in reality it's probably like as much as his, which were 18, add like 1 extra burst here and there, so I'll give you 21, which ends up making it 19, which is a little bit more, but still it's not that big of a deal. The point is that it doesn't matter how many more you have of something if you don't use it properly. So just placing the burst in a better position to where you net the advantage and then capitalizing off of the reset situation, not merely just saying like, okay, the screen's reset, now we have to play the long range game and I have to ease my way in. You don't always have to do that. You can sometimes just burst him and then say, alright, he's knocked down, I'm not knocked down, the situation is mildly reset, let me actually go in and do something with this. You don't have to like just pretty much just like ease in and take it. That's no longer the case. You can pretty much do something because the burst put you at an advantage. That's what it's supposed to do. It puts you in a, like I said, a mild advantage really, which is why you still have to look out for characters that strive at long ranges, like Bedman, for example. If you just burst out Bedman and then you ease your way in, that's giving him time to set things up and then giving him the ability to make it so that you run into whatever he's doing. And when that happens, then you're basically taking damage, taking residual damage. That's not even really combos. It's basically just running into bed slam, fireballs, tornadoes, so on and so forth, that he can literally just do safely behind his wall, that you then have to poke out his symbols or hit him directly to stop. Which means that you didn't have to play patient at first, but you made it so that because you played patient to begin with, you then forced yourself to continue to play like that because you have no other choice. It's so in the end it becomes where, when, and what afterwards. Where you burst on the screen, if he's going to get full screen advantage from it or not. When you burst during the round, whether or not it's going to be like super early, so where you can get a third burst, or like later in a round where you force yourself to mount a comeback, which a lot of the time is not actually worth it. Or like in the middle of the round which is my personal preference, but hey, if you have a different preference, that's all you. This is just my opinion on a burst would be best to use at the beginning or at the end of a round. No, in the middle of a round, sorry, or like if it's really even at the end of a round. Because if you're gonna do it at the end of the round, your ultimate goal, like if you're gonna have to do it like in a situation at the Mata comeback, your ultimate goal is first and foremost to take the burst from them and then take the round. Because the round is much less likely than the burst. The burst is going to be used as a cover to save the round, which could happen, which is what you need to expect to happen. But anyway, bursting in the middle of the round is the preferred area because it doesn't open up the situation of, oh, he got hit, he now wants to burst, and it doesn't open up the area of, oh, he got hit, he doesn't want to die, so let me take this burst. It kind of makes a little mind game in between both of you, because now the situation isn't like that, like wildly open. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can wait until like the combo's over to burst, or you can like burst like a little bit in the earlier parts of the combo. You don't have to worry about like the next hit killing you, and you don't have to worry about like how much health or time you have available to you, so you can build up an extra burst. You kind of just, or if you have to shatter his momentum in the beginning and then run afterwards and then mount this early game offensive, which you can very well do, but at the same time doesn't need to happen. Sometimes you just need to kind of figure out what they're doing and adjust to it. And when you like kind of use it as a safety net to cover the mistake that you like at any point in time make, so that like say for example like you just throw out a bad DP when you thought something was coming, but in actuality it didn't happen, and you get hit. Because a lot of people who mess up DPs, they want to burst on the first hit. Think in the sense of like you DP, mess up, he blocks, and boom, you block his punish, and then, or I'm sorry, you not so much block his punish, you get punished, and then you burst like the third or so hit, and now you're in a position where you can actually remount your offensive versus block. So that's kind of just the thing that you have to look out for. It's like I said before, and I'll say one last time. It's just when, where, and when after for bursts. And that's it. Nooneman won that 5-4. Close match. Awareness is a big thing. Bursting is a big thing. You got to be aware of your opponent's tools and when and where they're going to want to use them. You have to be aware of the options that you have in order to counter those things. And using dead angle to set up a situation similar to burst for meter, and also probably using blitz shield, but that's something that I'll probably talk about in a different match where it becomes a big deal. But for now, I'm done, and yeah, see you guys later.